Here's what to expect when departing from the Cancun airport. Number one, expect traffic and congestion getting to the airport. Even though lots of the construction has been completed around the Cancun airport, there is still a lot of congestion at times. So you want to allow yourself plenty of time to get to the airport. And it really depends on where you are staying and traveling from to the Cancun airport. So all of that has to factor in when you are trying to decide what time you should arrive to the airport. You also need to consider what day it is and what time of day or time of year. Is it a holiday season? Do you have to travel to the airport during rush hour? Are you checking in a bag or not checking in a bag? In fact, that is one of the biggest questions that we get is how far in advance of your flight should you arrive to the Cancun airport? Now, this is where your transportation company should really guide you. If you follow me, you know I always use our friend Nacho, and he and I are always in communication about the best times. Now, for me, I do not check in a bag. I usually travel in off times, so I can arrive to the airport 2 hours in advance and get through in plenty of time. However, most companies are going to recommend that you arrive 3 hours in advance, which means they have to pick you up sometimes 4 or 5 hours in advance of your flight, depending on where you're staying and what time of day you are leaving. If you are checking in a bag, I would definitely allot at least 1.5 hours to check your bag in and get through security. Now, sometimes it can be a lot longer, sometimes a lot shorter, but you always want to be safe than sorry, especially after having such an amazing vacation. You don't want to be stressed at the end of it at the airport, wondering if you're going to make your flight. And yes, you're going to hear this from me once again of why I recommend only checking in a bag. This is one of many reasons, but you can save so much time, not only departing, but also when you are arriving. Most likely, you will be departing from Terminal 3 at the Cancun airport. This is their main international terminal. Once you get in, most of the airlines do have the electronic kiosks where you can get boarding passes and check in your bags. Even once you get your bag tags from these kiosks, you still have to go in line and wait so you can actually give your bags to the agents at the desk. Now, the day we departed, it was in January 2024 on a Wednesday afternoon, and literally no one was in the airport, so it was very unusual. So again, you definitely want to allow time for this process. Now, if you've taken my advice and you haven't checked in a bag, then download the mobile app from your airline and you can check in that way, and it makes the process so much faster because all you have to do once you get into the airport is go straight to security. Okay, now for an update on the Visitax. You know that I've done several videos on this, and it's still very confusing as to what it is. But again, the Visitax is a fee that was established in 2020 by the local state of Quintana Roo. And basically, it's supposed to help preserve the natural beaches and tourism in this area. Now, the reason for the confusion behind this tax versus other tourist tax that we pay in Mexico is that those are usually included in your airline fees and the resort fees. You can see the line item and it's very clear. With the Visitax, this is a state tax, and it is collected online. It is meant to preserve the beaches and the state parks, everything that tourists love about the Cancun area. And although they tried to enforce it at the airport the last time that I was there, I think they gave up on those efforts because it just wasn't logistically possible. So because of that they're not enforcing it right at the airport, a lot of people question if it's really mandatory or if it's a scam. So I will just tell you from my research, it is a mandatory tax, and they are enforcing it online by synchronizing it to your travel documents. I paid mine online well in advance of even going on my vacation, which is a plus because then you don't even have to think about it. And I will include the official link in the description. So make sure that you are on that official link because the other problem is there are a lot of scam sites out there. And the tax is $20 per person. So that can really add up if you are traveling with multiple people. And again, I know people are really questioning this tax. They're wondering if it's valid and it's kind of shady. So I always encourage my subscribers to do their own research. I'm just sharing my experiences, my information. I'm not saying to do what I'm doing or not do what I'm doing, but always do your own research. Now it's time to go through security, and maybe you're a little hungry or thirsty, and they do have a few places right before you go through security. But one of the biggest tips that I can give you is to try to eat and drink as much as you can before getting to the airport, especially if you're staying at an all-inclusive resort. Because once you get into the airport, you are going to be paying airport prices. So just keep that in mind. And I will go into a little bit more detail about that after I give you tips for going through security. So the time it takes to get through security really varies, and there's no way to predict it. I've seen nightmare situations where it takes hours, and then like this day, which was a Wednesday afternoon, there was literally no one in line. The best advice I can give is to prepare for the worst. Give yourself plenty of time to get to the airport. If you are traveling with kids, make sure those devices are charged so they have something to do while they're in line. Fuel up and go to the restroom. And then if there are no lines, it will just be a pleasant surprise. You do not have to fill out any paper forms anymore. Everything is done digitally through the passport. Or if you did go through the e-gates, they will give you this little white e-ticket with a QR code. Make sure you hang on to that. I personally have never been asked for it, but you do not want to lose that little ticket. One thing they are particular about are liquids. So I have learned to, when I'm packing my things up to leave, always make sure I organize all of my liquids in 1 or 2 bags, that they're easy to access, that I can take them right out and put them in the trays at security. At times, they will randomly pick people for more detailed searches. Don't get stressed out about that. That's just part of the process. You're not in trouble or anything like that. Another tip about security is that most of the officers do not speak English. So if they do have any issues with their bag, they will try to communicate with you in Spanish. So we've helped many people through this situation. Maybe just look for somebody that knows Spanish. There's many people that are going through security that are willing to help. Then you go through duty free. Now, I personally stay away from duty free. I have not found that their prices are really that much better than things that I can find here in the US. And I just think it's a headache to have to get the items and add it to your bags. And sometimes they won't let you on. It counts as another personal item, or they charge you to check it in. And now it's time for the waiting game to start, and a few tips here. One is for gate assignments. You usually won't have one right away because there's only so many and there's lots of flights going out. So usually they assign it about an hour before your flight leaves, sometimes even less. So you just have to keep looking at the monitors or monitoring your app. Now, the last few times that I've departed from the Cancun airport, I've made reservations in the VIP lounge. You definitely have to do this ahead of time because it does sell out, and I will add the link in the description. It's around $59 a person. You get unlimited food and drinks, and yes, they have a bar there. It's not the best lounge that I've been to, but you are guaranteed seats and plugs to charge your devices. Like I mentioned earlier, the food and the drink at the Cancun airport have really gotten outrageous. Plus, the lines are really long for everything. The food takes forever. So for me, this is a better alternative. Again, it's not perfect, but you do have to reserve this well in advance because it does sell out. I do think it's free for some credit card holders, but I don't think you can reserve it ahead of time. Don't quote me on that. You might have to do your own research. I just always use our link from Viator, make sure that I have the reservation and pay the fee. So really not much has changed since the last time I did a video about departing from the Cancun airport, but I do hope you found this one helpful. If you are new to my channel, 3 days and tres noches, I bring you honest resort reviews, travel tips, and information about the destinations that I go to, and show you can have an amazing vacation in a really short amount of time. So please like and subscribe and keep following me. I will be back in Cancun very shortly.